Welcome to Lash Biz Babes, the podcast for solo beauty business owners who want to build a full clientele and create a business and life that they truly love. My name is Erica. I'm your host. I'm a lash artist turned beauty business coach, lash educator, and social media manager for salons and beauty businesses. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. Welcome back to this season of Lash Biz Babes. My name is Erica. I'm your host, and I'm so excited to be back recording episodes and just being back at the podcast again. So I took a little bit of an unexpected break from the show. So first and foremost, before we jump into today's topic and today's episode, I just wanted to give you a little backstory on that because I really didn't intentionally mean to take a break, but I think it was for the best, and it's kind of helped me realign things and just kind of get my life organized again because it's been crazy chaotic. There's just been so much going on behind the scenes in my personal life and in my business life, and I just have had a lot going on. So give you a little bit of a backstory. Towards the end of last year, I just started feeling unaligned with the way I was running my business, the way I was handling things, just boundaries with clients that I had, just my processes, my systems, my just everything. And it just got to be a little bit overwhelming, and it got to the point where I just wasn't sure, honestly, just transparently, I wasn't sure quite what I was doing when it came to like the direction of where I was taking my business at the time. And so I just really recognized in myself that I was feeling like uninspired when New Year's hit, and I realized I didn't really have any goals that I felt motivated or driven to work towards for 2026. I was like, okay, I really need to realign where I'm at and just take a look at what I'm doing and kind of change things, because truly, how are you going to run a business when you are feeling that way? At least that's how I felt. And so I needed to take a little bit of time to figure that out and just be excited about business again and just get to where I needed to be. And so for me, that was really difficult because I feel like I tied a lot of, honestly, just, again, transparent. I feel like I had tied some of my self-worth into how productive I was being in my business and just how successful it was, and just always next step growth, which I feel like I've always been that type of person that I feel like I need another goal to be working towards. I need to be, growing and getting bigger and being successful and doing all these things. And I think I just realized that I was in a season of my business where I needed to just maintain where I was at and get things like working well, process and system wise and all of that, and then focus on growing again. So that's kind of where I've been, is just maintaining and refining and just fine tuning where I'm at, so that when I am ready to step into that next level, I have all of the back end ready for that, and I feel like I can take on the capacity for more. So that was a big part of it. It was just, felt like I was maxed out, which, if you don't remember, my husband took his business full time actually a year ago last month. So it's been a year in June. And that honestly has taken up a lot of my time as well, just helping him run his business and grow. I've taken on more of I don't want to say full-time role because I'm not working for them, for my husband full time, but like I'm taking on a larger capacity role for him, especially as our electrical business has honestly boomed this year and grown so much, specifically this summer. And so I've just been doing so much on the back end of that and taking on more responsibilities. And yeah, it's been a fun year. Honestly, I've learned so much more about myself and business, and it's been cool to watch and see how I've been able to use my skills with growing beauty businesses and running beauty businesses, and being able to translate that into running a business in the trades. And it's a similar concept of like being a local service-based business, but obviously it's a completely different industry, and it's more male driven and like male dominated. And so it's just been really honestly fun to kind of see how my like female dominated industry skills translate into that. And anyway, long story short, I just had a lot going on. I was feeling really unaligned and just trying to decide what pieces of my business still felt aligned for me, what I wanted to keep moving forward with, and what I needed to change or maybe cut out or stop doing or this, that, and the other to feel aligned and feel like I could keep moving forward with things. So that's why I took a break from the podcast. I just needed to figure out what I was doing. I'm taking a break from speaking events this year. I just did the one in March at International Lash Expo, which was amazing and so fun, by the way. Loved it. And so the rest of the year, I'm taking a break from speaking events and just kind of slowing down on taking social media clients and just really realigning where I'm at. And on top of that, I just had my fourth baby 2 weeks ago as of the time of recording this. And I'm just a couple weeks postpartum. I'm a mom of four now. And it's just been honestly the most beautiful postpartum experience that I have had thus far. I think we are done growing our family. And so I'm really thankful to kind of close this chapter out, feeling so like joyful and blissful about it all and like having such a good pregnancy and birth experience and postpartum experience so far. So yeah, I'm just really feeling full of gratitude and like having a lot of blessings, but honestly, it's just been a lot on my plate. So I needed to kind of readjust things. And one of the things that is being readjusted is instead of always releasing episodes every Tuesday, we are going to like a seasons format. So essentially, we'll have 3 months on and then a little break and then 3 months on with the podcast. So you'll get 12 episodes that'll release every week, and then there will be a small break and then 12 episodes. So that way I have a little bit of time in between. I don't feel like I have to be recording episodes every single week, and it just became too much. So I'm really excited to be kind of adjusting the podcast in this model and making it something that's more sustainable for me. And I think that that's a lesson that I can share that I've learned is like making your business sustainable for you. If something's not working, it's okay to change it. I felt like kind of guilty about it at first because I'm like, I've always done it this way and this is what they expect and this, that, and the other. But I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to keep showing up and serving and doing this and helping people and enjoying the podcast, like I need to make a change for it, because honestly, podcasting has been one of the most fun parts of my business for the past like almost 4.5 years now. And I didn't want to keep doing it if it didn't continue to feel good. And so adjusting the format is what feels the best and most aligned for me right now, and is going to be what helps keep getting episodes out to you and helps you continue to be able to grow your business as well and be able to learn and have this like platform and this resource, because we have so many free episodes. And if you haven't gone back and listened to them all, like seriously, go binge from the start, because like there's so many good episodes, so many amazing guests, and so much to learn from the show. And I wanted to keep that going for you. So yeah, that's just basically in a nutshell the past, 6 to 9 months or so of my life and just everything going on. I'm so excited to be a mom of four. I'm so excited to be back on the show again and just keep moving forward and feeling more aligned with where I'm at now. So that all being said, let's jump into today's episode. So when I thought about what could I tell you about, what stories could I tell, what lessons can I share, what would be the most beneficial for you to hear from this first episode back, and I thought about what has been one of the number one things that has really helped me grow my businesses over the years with my lash business and into podcasting, getting speaking events, doing trainings, getting social media clients, like all the things, because that's just, how my business has evolved over the years. And then, of course, being able to grow my husband's electrical business over the last year, I feel like that's given me a lot of really good recent experience of like what's working right now. And one of the number one things that really came to mind was networking. You hear people say like your network is your net worth. And I think that's 100% accurate and true. And I know we've talked about networking on the show before, so I really thought about like, well, what are the things that hold people back from networking the most, especially if you are in an area where you really don't know anyone, you're new there, you don't have people, your friends and family who are helping like spread word of mouth for you or helping you meet people, then what? Because I've absolutely been in those shoes before. Or maybe if you're nervous or you're shy or you have to go to an event by yourself, and then what? And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, and just sharing what I've learned over the years because to me, I consider myself like an introverted extrovert or like extroverted introvert, however you want to say that. Like, my first preference is to stay home with my husband and kids. Like, that is my comfort zone. And I would just prefer to be at home and not go be in social settings necessarily. But like, when I do get out into social settings, like, I know it's like turn it on. I'm gonna talk to people like I'm social like that. I don't have a problem. I'm not super anxious about talking to people. Like, that's absolutely fine with me. But specifically when it comes to networking events, I definitely have to give myself like the whole pep talk, breathing exercise thing in the car beforehand to kind of like get myself ready for it. And I think a lot of that is just because I know it's a huge energy dump, especially if you are going to like a multi-day event. Like, it's just so much energy that you're expending. And of course, by the end of that, like, your social battery is just dead. So, obviously, just let off with some of the cons of networking or some of the struggles with networking, I feel like. But I wanted to talk about how to navigate those things because it is such an amazing way to grow your business, especially if you are somewhere where you don't know a lot of people or you're just really in that growth phase of I've got big goals for growing my business right now. I feel like networking and word of mouth can be such a great way to help build those. And so, with that, I think if you haven't done a lot of in person networking or you're in a new area, you can always start smaller. Don't feel like you have to go to like the huge events with tons of people that are multi day, all day long, all the things. You can start at smaller events where maybe it's just like an hour or two at a time or a few hours, right? This could be like Chamber of Commerce events, maybe like a networking lunch or a networking dinner, or like I see a lot more these days, especially in my area, people who do like set networking groups that you can attend each month. So, those are really great places to start if you haven't been to a ton of networking events before and you kind of want to ease your way into it. And that being said, I would also consider who your target demographic is, who your ideal clients are, and if those types of people will be at that event or not. So, obviously, in the beauty industry, we are typically like our target ideal audience is more towards women or folks who are looking to get beauty services done. And so we want to be at events where those types of people are and where you're going to be able to like rub shoulders with those who might be interested in your services. So, first and foremost, always take that into an account. Is this an event where there are people there who I can meet who would be interested in my services or who could potentially help me grow my business? Maybe they work in an adjacent industry. This could be people like other beauty service providers who do other types of services, or even other lash artists. There's really nothing wrong with that. I don't feel like it's as quick of growth if it is just all other lash artists, but that is still a really good thing to have as a network of lash artists in your area who you are on good terms with. But that also being said, this could be like realtors, photographers, restaurant owners, just other local business owners as well. Like, those are great people to be networked with. And like, especially if they are someone in your area who knows a lot of people, who's well networked in the area, great person to tie in with. So really consider who's going to be at the event or what types of people could be at the event so that you can spend your time going to ones that are going to be the most beneficial for you, and help you be able to grow your business the most. And I think the next thing is when you go to these events, like, expect to be outside of your comfort zone. And I honestly, there's going to be a couple awkward moments sometimes, and you just have to learn to be okay with that because the more you go, like, the better it gets. And especially if you're going by yourself and you don't know anyone, it is probably more than likely going to feel kind of uncomfortable. And you have to be willing to put yourself out there if you want to be able to actually grow your business. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but it's only uncomfortable until it's not. And the more you go to these things, especially if you tie in with a networking group who all meets together like maybe once a month or every other month or however often, like eventually you're going to start getting to know some of those people, and then you're going to be able to see them each time you go, and it's not going to feel as awkward or uncomfortable or weird anymore because you're basically going to have friends at these things. And I think that's a huge part for me of the mindset that I go into this with, is not necessarily like I want to get clients out of this. Of course, that's like a thought in my brain or like an end goal for when you go to networking events, but that shouldn't be the only goal of going to these events. It should be like, in my mind, the way that I look at things is going into these things trying to make friends with local people in your area. It's the same way that I look at like outbound engagement on Instagram or on social media. You're basically just online trying to make friends with people in your area. But when you're going in person, it's in person trying to make friends with people in your area and making connections with them regardless of if they book with you or not, because maybe they're not interested in getting lash extensions on or getting a lash lift with you or whatever services you are offering, but maybe they have like friends or family or clients or people they know in the community who would be interested, and they can then refer those people to you just because like they've made a good connection with you. So you can't go into these things with the mindset of like only trying to make sales or get clients out of it or, be super salesy or whatever. You want to go into it with the mindset of I'm trying to make connections and make friends with people in my area. And also, I think those connections have to be mutually beneficial too. It can't just be one-sided of like they are going to send you clients and you don't send people their way or things like that. Like, I try to look at this as like a Taylor Swift karma song type of thing, where like the good type of karma, where it's like you take all your friends to the summit type of situation. Like, if they are going to support me and come see me or refer people to me, like I am going to return the favor. I'm going to refer people to them and help them grow too. And I feel like even if they haven't booked with you or they haven't referred someone to you yet, if you make that connection and you can start sending people their way, if you hear of people looking for their types of services or whatever they're offering, like send people their way, because I think that it makes like them want to send people back to you as well. So I think just the mindset of how you go into things, like expect it to be uncomfortable, but also like go into it just trying to make friends, because I think that takes a lot of like the pressure off in your own brain too, of like feeling like you have to be salesy or you have to pitch yourself or do your elevator pitches or whatever. Those aren't bad things. You can get clients out of these things. You can do an elevator pitch or whatever. But if you go into it with just the mindset of I'm just bare minimum trying to make connections and make friends at these things, that it will go so far for you, and help you be able to grow. And on the same note, like especially if you're going to an event by yourself and you don't know anyone yet, and where I'm saying like, okay, it's going to be uncomfortable, it might be a little bit awkward. You also, like when I'm saying you have to be outside of your comfort zone, you have to be willing to like walk up to people and talk to them first. Not everyone is going to come talk to you first. Like, they're probably feeling uncomfortable or shy or nervous themselves, and someone has to like break the ice with that, and then you're probably both going to like love talking to each other and getting to know each other, and like they just want someone to talk to as well. So if you can put yourself out there and talk to people first, I think that goes a really long way, in helping you to create those connections. And I think for me, a lot of this too comes down to like, if I'm going to take time away from my family and away from my business and away from my kids and take time out of my day to go to this event, I want to make the absolute most out of it. And I'm not going to get the most out of it if I'm sitting in the corner being shy and not talking to people. So even if it's uncomfortable or awkward, like I'm going to mentally push myself to talk to as many people as humanly possible and to make as many connections as humanly possible at these events, and to like really get myself outside of my comfort zone. And even though I feel like I can and I am a social person in social settings like that, it's still hard for me to like go be the one to walk up to someone who I don't know and strike up a conversation. And I feel like it is kind of a learned skill. So like if you're not perfect at it or you've never done it before, like it's okay if it gets like a little botched or it's a little awkward. Like, it only gets better. But that's me, like, when I go to events, like, I'm gonna push myself to meet as many people as possible, and for me, I do try to let them talk more than I talk, if possible, as well. Like, people love to talk about themselves. I know I love to talk about myself too, and I clearly have an entire podcast now where I talk about myself a lot. That's besides the point. But my point being, if you can let them talk about themselves and ask them questions and ask them follow-up questions and let them respond and try not to interrupt them and hear what they have to say, like hear their stories, hear what they do, like that goes a long way in creating a good connection as well. And like just not having it be one-sided where you're only talking about your business and what you offer and all of that. Like, be inquisitive, be curious about what they do, like ask them questions, hear out their stories, like get to know them as well. And that has been like just huge for me in getting to know other people and their experiences and their perspectives, because they may be able to tell you stories or give you advice that can help you grow in your area, especially if you're new to the area and you don't really know it very well quite yet. Like, ask people, how did they grow their businesses? How did they get their first clients in the area? Like, ask those questions, hear out what they have to say. Like, you can learn so much, especially if it's other business owners. You can learn so much from them. So, hear out what they have to say. Like, be a listening ear too, not just someone who's only in it for themselves. That goes such a long way at networking events for sure. And I think another thing is adding them on Facebook or following them on Instagram, like following each other back, like being able to have some type of online connection to keep the connection going afterwards. Because if you meet someone, you talk with them, maybe you exchange business cards, I think that's a great start. But when you connect with them online afterwards, you're really able to continue to nurture that connection and remind them of what you do and you see what they do, and like it keeps you each other like top of mind, and then they're more likely to come to you or more likely to refer people to you or even just get to know you better and get to like continue to cultivate and nurture that connection. And basically with these types of things, whether it's in-person networking, online marketing, any of this stuff, you're basically planting these little seeds, and over time as you water them and nurture them, they can bloom into something huge for you, or a client booking with you, opportunities that come your way, because it might not even just be clients that come your way from networking events. You could have all kinds of other opportunities that could become available to you just because of who you now know in your area or who you now know in general, right? And so you're planting these little seeds, whether that blooms the very next day or blooms 2 years from now, you never know where that connection is going to take you or how long it's going to take. And I'm not saying that every person you meet, you're going to get a sale out of or a booking out of or an opportunity out of, but you just never know what opportunities could come your way. And my point being is that even if you just plant the seed, that could be nurtured and blossomed into something more later on. It might not be right away, and that's okay. Like, your networking efforts can still pay off and probably will pay off in the end and more long term. So I feel like networking can be more of a long-term game, but it pays off so well. And so I wanted to give you a couple examples of these. So I went to like a little networking, it wasn't even necessarily a networking dinner. It's like a women's business owner dinner thing of just like getting out and going to dinner together. And I think I've talked about this on the show before, but I ended up getting like three, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, maybe even more clients just from that one dinner, because one of them booked with me, then her family member booked with me, then they had another friend who booked, and then there was another person they referred and another person who referred us. And it just like this domino effect of getting all these referrals from going to this one dinner. And so you just never know what can come of that. And that was like literally an hour of my time going to dinner, right? And that resulted in like tens of $1,000s of revenue for my business. Another example of this, even smaller example, literally just at the pool with my kids and my husband last summer. Hey, oh, haven't seen you in so long. It was like a realtor who had shown us a house when we first moved here, and we ran into her at the pool. And like her daughter had been in my son's kindergarten class, and we'd kind of rubbed shoulders a little bit. But when we ran into each other at the pool, I mentioned that, hey, my husband just took his business full time with electrical. So if you ever hear of anyone needing electrical work done, like let us know. We'd love to help them out. Literally 30 seconds of just opening my mouth and letting her know. And now we've done multiple jobs for her husband and they refer us out to people. So again, thousands of dollars of revenue from 30 seconds of opening my mouth at the pool to someone that I was like acquaintances with at the time. And so you just never know. And like we send people their way now. Like if someone's looking for a realtor, I'm going to refer her, that kind of thing. So you never know what can come out of that. Like closed mouths don't get fed. You have to be willing to open up your mouth, talk about what you do, and tell people who you are and what you're all about. If you are too scared to let people know what you do, then you're not going to be able to grow your business as quickly. And I'm not saying like you won't be able to grow your business, you're going to fail. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. So please don't take it that way. My point is just that if you are too scared to grow your business, or if you're too scared to open your mouth and talk about what you do to people that you don't know, it's going to be really hard to grow your business and it's going to take longer. It's going to go slower. You have to be willing to open up your mouth. You have to be willing to get outside of your comfort zone and meet new people and let them know what you do. The more people that know who you are and what you do, the better. And the more your business is going to spread, they will help you grow your business now as well. And another example of this, even just in Facebook groups, like local Facebook groups, being willing to put yourself out there in those, because you just never know what opportunities can come your way from that. So an example of this, and it's with my husband's electrical business, about honestly over a year ago, is probably last spring, before we even went full time with our business, we had connected with this plumbing company. Now my husband is an electrical company, so obviously this is an adjacent service within the same industry, and we can refer clients to each other, all that kind of thing. So he's like saying that, oh, my electrician I usually use is really busy. I need to find a new one. I want someone who's dependable, who, stands by their work, this, that, and the other. And I was like, okay. So I messaged this guy and I'm like, listen, like, here's who we are and what we do. My husband has all this experience. I think this is exactly what you're looking for. Good fit, whatever. So talked with him back and forth a little bit, sent him my husband's information, didn't hear from him for a few months. And then a few months go by and my husband gets a phone call from this guy. They kind of set up some work to go do an estimate, this, that, and the other. Anyway, my husband ends up, I think, doing some work on this guy's house first, and then the plumber ends up referring us out to some of his clients. We start referring him out to some of our clients. And now, a year later, we have this really good working relationship where we work together on a ton of projects. If we have an electrical project where plumbing needs to be done as well, like that's who we're going to refer first, and vice versa. On Facebook posts, we are tagging each other in those posts and like helping to promote each other and like get each other work. And not only that, but this plumber referred us on this massive med spa job this summer, and we just landed this huge med spa contract and are on like this big job now because of like networking in a local Facebook group and meeting this plumber in this group over a year ago. And now that has led to like all this word of mouth work and literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. Now that's not all profit by any means. However, like we would not have landed this huge med spa contract without that networking and knowing people. And so, especially if you are in an area where you are new to the area, you don't know a lot of people, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there, and you just never know what opportunities can come your way because of that. A lot of things in the beauty industry in general are because of who you know, whether that's booking clients, like word of mouth wise, like getting word of mouth clients, that's about who you know and who they know, right? Or whether it's things like, getting invited to go on podcasts or speaking at events or teaching classes, getting opportunities in different areas, with brands, maybe getting to go work their booth with them at an event or be a brand ambassador or be an educator for them. So many different opportunities are available in our industry. And a lot of those come down to who do you know and do they know who you are and what you're about. So you can network online all day long, and I am a huge proponent of that. That's gotten so many opportunities myself just from networking online, but also just in person. Like if you are going to events in person in your area or events like industry events, like don't be afraid to put yourself out there and meet people. And like if I'm going to an event like specifically a beauty industry event, like I'm kind of scoping out who is going to be at the event ahead of time and who am I going to purposely seek out to meet and make sure that I shake hands with and talk to at least for a couple of minutes. Like, who am I like putting myself out there to meet? So, whether that's brand owners or, Lash influencers, whatever you want to call them, other lash artists that, like, oh, I know this person that I follow on Instagram, this lash artist I follow on Instagram is going to be at this event. I want to make sure I go say hi to her or to him and make sure that like I go meet them. And for me specifically, when it comes to meeting people I follow online, I have to know their username. I'm so bad with actual names in person. If you ever meet me at an in-person event, tell me what your Instagram username is. I will remember everything about you at that point. I'm really good with Instagram usernames. I'm not so good with like actual names, just because that's what I see is your username and that's what I associate you with if I'm talking to you online. So just a side note on that. But point being, like, I'm gonna scope out who's gonna be there, that I'm gonna make sure to like have a mental list going of who do I want to meet at this event and make sure to put myself out there to meet them while I'm there. So all of this to say, a lot of networking comes down to your willingness to put yourself out there, your willingness to get outside of your comfort zone and meet new people. And I know that can be hard sometimes, but I think long term it really does pay off, especially if you do have big goals for growing your business, whether that's locally or growing your business within the industry, more industry wide. Like networking will never fail you. And I don't think that it's the only way to grow your business, but it is one of the ways. And I know, especially in this last year, that is what has helped us take off with our electrical business the most. And that's what's helped me take off with my businesses in general as well. Like social media started it off and kicked it off for me. But I think a lot of the momentum that I've received in the last couple of years specifically has been from word of mouth. And essentially, I'm not even trying to like grow my social media business a lot right now, but I'm still signing new clients regularly because of word of mouth. And like I just signed a new client today actually, and that ties back to that first networking dinner that I just told you about earlier in the episode. And that dinner was 2.5 years ago, I think. It was like January 2024, I'm pretty sure. And it's July 2026, and I just signed a new client who was referred to me by someone who I met at that dinner. Or actually, the who I met at that dinner had referred me to someone else who then referred me to someone else, and that's who I just signed. So the point being, like, again, you can be planting these seeds and reaping the rewards of them way later on. So stick with it. I would push yourself to maybe go to a few networking events, especially if there's local ones in your local area. Even if it's not like a set event, just meeting people, being willing to talk with people when you're at the pool, you're at the park, you're at the store, you're at events, community events, your kids' school. Like push yourself to make friends, push yourself to meet people. That was a big part when I moved to a new city a few years back and, didn't know anyone then. Of just, I'm at my kids' tumbling class. I'm going to try and talk to the other moms. In my dance class, I'm going to try to talk to some people. Like, even if it's just meeting like one new person every time or just saying hi, like creating that first initial connection with them. It's not like you're going to be friends automatically right away every time, but point being, like, put yourself out there, even if it's not at a set event. But if you do have events going on in your area, like push yourself out there, go to a few of them the rest of the year, and see how things go, and start planting those seeds. So I love you. Thank you so much for listening today, and tune back in next week on Tuesday for your next episode. Make sure you are subscribed to the show wherever you listen to podcasts at, so you can get notified when new episodes do go live every Tuesday. I hope you have a great week. If you have questions at all on this, feel free to come find me on Instagram at XOEricaSchramm. My link will be in the show notes. Feel free to come ask me questions. Would love to be your friend on there as well. And I hope you have the best week. I'll talk to you again next week.